feel like I was going to start with something.
You know how I know that you and our daughter recorded a food show today?
How, Alice?
The All You Can Eat podcast. Find it wherever you like to listen to podcasts.
Good, important one today. Useful.
Because today when I walked into the studio, there was an open jar of pickle juice sitting on my open laptop keyboard.
That is your daughter, Sally Shattuck, who did that. Absolutely. That was part of the deal. She said she needed to eat pickles if we were going to do the podcast. I enjoyed it. It's one of these podcasts that was useful. Very interesting. She went out with her friend, we talked about this, to take advantage of her friend's discounts because it was her birthday. So they went to a bunch of places, blew off school. And it's interesting. Some places, like, this should terrorize boardrooms of places. Mm-hmm. Because 14-year-old girls use social media like madmen. Mm-hmm. And some of these places, the app talks about the birthday free foods that they give out. And they went to some places that said, no, we don't do anything. It's like, you're asking for a freaking social media problem. If these girls have nothing better to do, if they're promised from the app that they can get something free and you deny them in person,
right?
Good luck. I am happy to announce, by the way, that one of the places that did it, Alice, what pissed me off most about the day we had, Sally?
What pissed you off? That I made you turn the radio off?
No, that was terrible. That was an affront, obviously. No,
I was about to give birth to a baby.
Yeah,
I didn't let you listen to Tom and Todd.
God forbid I get to listen to AM radio. For some reason, you can't dial it or whatever you do. Whatever. I
needed to focus.
You freaking focus. Leave me alone. No, the worst, it happened after the birth when we got back home. What started arriving at our house?
Friends and relatives?
No.
What do you mean?
What gifts of well-wishing arrived at our house?
Those edible arrangements.
Exactly.
Now known as edible because they want to be known as more than arrangements. Although I think that causes other confusions in this day and age of legalized marijuana that I wouldn't want to be associated with if I were them.
Right. Edible arrangements was the worst part about having Sally in the world. That people sent us edible arrangements. Fuck you, edible arrangements. Send booze or cheese and meats or something, or beer or something. Edible arrangements. Like, F you. So Alice and I are going to work our way through 60 pounds of pineapple? Oh.
I like fruit.
Oh, no. We're not doing edible arrangements. Oh, that was terrible. What an affront. If you're a man and you've sent an edible arrangement, then you're a disgrace because you know that you're not supposed to do that. You certainly don't send it to another man. Holy God. But anyway, the edible arrangements they went to, the lady said, don't. And she also didn't believe them that it was her birthday. It was great. Great. This is the kind of stuff you're going to find on this episode. There's a lot of damage done in this episode. A lot of businesses, Sally Shattuck
are taking a hit. Yeah,
are taking a hit when they had the chance. But a lot of places went over and above. Because obviously they've had corporate training, or just common sense training that this stuff is probably going to make it to social media. So if it's the kid's birthday, let's make sure we take care of them. So some places just plied them with stuff very smart.
So I remember her telling us that Raising Cane's was the best one. So yeah, anyway, go listen to the food podcast episode. That's the All You Can Eat podcast. You can find it on all the things.
The link is right in the tweet, which makes it very practical and easy to use.
Which I explained to Tom, we don't put links directly in the tweet. You put it in the first reply because Elon Musk downgrades tweets that have links. It prevents lazy linking. There was a whole thing about that's what he said on Twitter. Linking. I talked to you about this. I can't believe you don't know this. But anyway, that's the food podcast. You can hear more about that. Mick is in the chat. Hi, Mick.
Mick?
It says Mick Chuck. I don't think it's Mick from KMS.
Hey, Mick, how's it going?
But maybe it is. Mick, if you are, you can let us know. But I don't think
he's a listener, that Mick. Okay, there's a few things happening. Obviously, the United Healthcare guy getting assassinated.
Which is incredible. So the story is supposedly that they reject the highest amount of claims of like any healthcare company. Mm-hmm. And I mean, nobody knows if this is true because as far as I last saw, and I've been at work all day, but like when I was last reading the story, nobody's caught the guy, right? He ran away on a bicycle through Central Park and like he's gone.
Right.
So And this was like a masked assailant with a silencer who just like came and assassinated him outside a building in New York. And
Yeah.
and so
And did you watch the video? There's video of it.
I saw still shots from the video, but I don't think I watched the actual video. But
It was very interesting. I'm not suggesting people watch snuff films, but very interesting. The guy slowly walked behind him as he's walking down the street in his suit. He walked behind him and shot him in the back a couple of times, and then just hung around for a second while people ran away. And it seemed like he was going to walk over to him and pop him a couple more times, but something was happening with his gun. So then he just like walked off and then apparently ran off. It was.
So do you think
it's vicious,
could
by
be
the way.
Like an angry person who was like mad about their claim being denied? Because that's a narrative people are pushing on social media.
The guy had a silencer, they say. So
and like a mass assailant with this. I mean, like I don't know that you go to the trouble of that kind of like biggest although maybe somebody. It's a weird thing.
You know what else is weird is NBC News got in touch with his wife this morning, and she was obviously in shock because she said, "I'm still trying to work things out. We've received some threats. I'm not sure." And she said, "I really can't say too much more. I'm trying to explain to my kids that their dad is gone." And I'm like, "What the fuck is NBC News talking to this lady for? What pieces of shit they are? Seriously." That is like, how dare you? How freaking dare? If I was a news editor and I was the boss, I would slap the shit out of a reporter who's calling this lady at this time in the morning to ask her stuff. She's trying to explain to her kids that their freaking lives are destroyed.
But that being said, in a way, it's kind of good for her because she gets a chance to get this like sympathetic narrative out there because half the social media comments are like...
Yeah,
my claim got denied, had it coming. Like,
I've seen a bunch of supposedly big-hearted progressives slowly say, well, the CEO, they do claims, whatever, they reject people.
So, and it could turn out to have nothing to do with that whatsoever.
By the way, to you progressives who are dancing on this guy's grave, if you're the CEO of this and you make his money too, you're also going to have to come up with claim policy too that seems cold to people. When you jump into big boy world, you have to do things that seem freaking cold to people on the end user. Sorry about that. You know, it doesn't mean anytime you get a big job. That's why guys like that get paid a lot because it's in many ways thankless. And it's nice to have the pool in the house so you can freaking ply yourself with pina coladas in the summer and forget that half the world hates you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's early to speculate what the reasoning behind it was. But
supposedly the feds are looking into this guy too. I don't know. But it's really easy. You know, even when I was in management,
hiring a trained assassin seems more like something that another big corporation or another rich person does, and not something that a poor person who has their healthcare claim denied does. But
also here's another thing: is like in the video you can clearly see as he's shooting him, a woman standing there, and she bolts. Like, wouldn't you ice her too? Like,
maybe not if he is confident he won't be recognized. He was masked.
No, was he masked?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know he had a hoodie on. Oh.
Yeah. So, and we've normalized mask wearing in public places now.
Right,
so
great.
So, I mean, I think that's like they might never catch this guy.
I mean, I gotta think every inch of Manhattan is cameras.
They haven't caught the pipe bomb guy.
That's true. That's true. Well, I doubt that this guy works for the government. Although it's possible. Anything's possible these days. Who knows? Who knows? My window for accepting conspiracy theories is wide open these days.
Oh, yeah, that's a wild story. Yeah, and there's still, I mean, like, I feel like bored of this because we're on the third day of talking about people's reactions to the Hunter pardon, but I feel like this is still somehow a story. Like, they're not over it yet. They haven't come to grips.
They haven't come to grips, or some people haven't. The problem is this, and this is why it's kind of good that, you know, novices, people new to politics.
Yeah.
So you have two classes of Democrats here. Though three, I should say. The people who have been around a long, long time and know that these guys in D.C. are corrupt and know that, of course, Biden's going to do this stuff. And Those are the cynical people who have just seen too much of DC and just know that, yes, if it seems like it's a vile thing, it's a vile thing. Then you've got the people who have been rooting for their team forever and can't condemn their team because that'll expose them as total fools and frauds. And then you have the newbies who've just started thinking about politics, who are on the left, but aren't so entrenched in their team, in the uniform, that they're willing to criticize. And that's what you have. And that's what you had on The View today with Charlemagne the God and Whoopi Goldberg. Because Charlemagne the God is saying he's new. Obviously, he's a new thinker at this stuff. And he's looking around here and saying, wait a minute, they played us for fools. But the old guard, Whoopi, who's been on that team now for 70 years, she feels very differently. And to her, it's all about the uniforms. That's it. It's purely about your tribe, uber alles.
Let me ask you something that's going around right now. A lot of this conversation about President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, etc., as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
Right. I'm going to stop you for a second.
Here we go.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a sudden?
No, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over.
So now, to me, this is a wild... I don't even know what that means. Watching everybody else get over.
I think she means get off, like get...
We're right, get away with it.
Yeah.
But
she doesn't know words, so...
No.
And this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's different.
That's the problem. Mm-hmm. She believed the brochure about the Democrats from 50 years ago. She said, oh, they're the ones who follow the straight and narrow. They're so nice. Joe Biden's nice. He came on and he talked to us. Dr. Biden, she's very good.
Sometimes the people who do the right thing all the time just get so sick of watching everybody else always get away with doing the wrong thing. Sometimes they just lash out and do the wrong thing just one time.
Right.
And so that's what the story of Joe Biden is in his life.
Well, right. And she was somebody, by the way, who 15 years ago was happy to have Donald Trump sit next to her because he was a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And she was happy to kiss his ass and to have fun and talk to him, et cetera, and take his... Because he was a good person. Mm-hmm. The moment he turned Republican, it became about the uniform, and that was it. And all of the bad things that she ascribes to Republicans, because you know what they are, they're mean, racist... And then that's all it takes. This is not a thought experiment where she works through these things. Mm-hmm. She begins with the conclusion: that team bad, my team good.
Right. Now, how do I get there?
Exactly.
They're the ones that go out. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. Listen, they don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. He don't have to do that.
So we're mad at him because he changed his.
Oh, no. By the way, I'm not mad at him pardoning Hunter Biden.
You sound like you're mad.
No.
If I can get in on this, I actually think it went further, and this is one thing we really disagree on. Joe Biden made a point of saying we stand by our institutions and the impartiality of the Department of Justice.
Yes.
Democrats ran on that. This same DOJ indicted Hunter Biden. How we shouldn't be saying it's corrupt like Donald Trump does. But then in his statement pardoning Hunter Biden, he says that it was a political pursuit by his own Department of Justice.
Can you explain to me why it is
that when Joe Biden does something, everybody clutches their pearls. He's wrong.
Nobody
he lied.
criticized Donald Trump more than me or Charlamagne the God.
I'm sorry. Yeah, people have criticized him more. I've criticized him more. We've all criticized him more, but you're missing my question. Okay. My question is, what is it that makes people flip the out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing. But that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem. When
Democrats ran on that. This same DOJ indicted Hunter Biden. How we shouldn't be saying it's corrupt like Donald Trump does. But then in his statement pardoning Hunter Biden, he says that it was a political pursuit by his own Department of Justice.
Can you explain to me why it is that when Joe Biden does something, everybody clutches their pearls? He's wrong.
Nobody
he lied.
criticized Donald Trump more than me or Charlamagne the God.
I'm sorry. Yeah, people have criticized him more. I've criticized him more. We've all criticized him more, but you're missing my question. Okay. My question is, what is it that makes people flip the out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because
First of all, Alyssa Farah Griffin is the odd one out here because she's not a freaking moron the way like Joy and Whoopi and even Sunny are. She made a calculated decision to turn into the good Republican post January 6th. And she has got to be thinking when Whoopi is talking, God, my new team is so freaking dumb. Like, because they can't understand her totally simple point. And she has to let her talk and be like, okay, Whoopi, keep
right.
going.
And the whole point is that 1 month ago, Whoopi was saying that we were on the good and moral team because we don't do such horrible things that Donald Trump's doing, including attacking institutions like the Department of Justice. We would never do that. That we would never, that no one is above the law. She bought into that 100%. So it's fine. Like in Charlamagne's right, it doesn't matter. He did the
he pardoned his son. Nobody really cares.
Right.
Like,
but it's the scope of the pardon that's interesting, and it's the fact that he attacked his own Justice Department. But of course, he's a piece of shit. Of course, he's going to attack his own Justice Department. Just look what he did with his own Border Patrol. Accused his own guys of strapping Haitians. Why is anybody? But she, once again, he wears a uniform that she respects, so he has to be a good. And it's not true. This guy has been a lifelong bad dude.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's new news. It's okay.
Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing, but that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right? Okay? I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes, but when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right, if you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
That's why I'm an independent.
Yes, but that's not,
the best way to go.
But that's not a...
Yeah, look out for the independents, mostly. Independent.
I know. I vote for the person. I just listen for who has the best ideas. There's only 2 sets of ideas.
Right, although they are dynamic these days.
Monolith. We're not, Democrats are not a monolith.
But why can't you say when Democrats are wrong? And why can't Republicans say when Republicans are wrong?
I'll tell you when Democrats are wrong.
So you don't think Joe Biden is wrong?
No, I don't. And can I just point this out to you? The president has a pardon power, right?
I didn't say you were ridiculous, Ms. Goldberg. I would never. I said that. I just think that.
Think about it. Think about it this way. Just very quickly. Can you reframe it in this way? Think about it maybe in this way. The president has the ultimate pardon power. Every president has done this.
Imagine that they're correcting him.
Yeah.
No. You have to think in a different way. You have to think in a different way until you're thinking exactly like us. And then you're thinking in a fine way.
Right? Yeah. And so people are saying is that Joe Biden is now a liar, as opposed to Joe Biden is someone who now knows that the person that is going to be in the White House is on a revenge tour and his son is on an enemies list. And so he is using his rightful power,
his rightful power.
His son
Nobody
on the
argues
enemies
that he
list.
has a power.
Brother, it's not Team Trump. He was about Biden is going to be sentenced. Hunter is going to be sentenced next week.
Well, right.
By the Biden administration.
Right. Not from Trump's DOJ.
Right. Not from Trump's guys. This is all Biden's people.
Right, for political power to pardon his son. Now, is that a lie, or is that perhaps being pragmatic, having a change of opinion, as opposed to the president-elect who has lied almost 40,000 times during his first term?
Well, I can't.
Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
That they. By the way,
but this is what we predicted a couple of days ago, that there were more pardons coming. And there's this piece you sent us from Politico. Jonathan Martin wrote in Politico today, saying President Joe Biden's senior aides are conducting a vigorous internal debate over whether to issue preemptive pardons to a range of current and former public officials who could be targeted with President-elect Trump's return to the White House, according to senior Democrats familiar with discussions. Biden's aides are deeply concerned about a range of current and former officials who could find themselves facing inquiries and even indictments, a sense of alarm which has only accelerated since Trump last weekend announced the appointment of Kash Patel to lead the FBI. Patel has publicly vowed to pursue Trump's critics. The White House officials are carefully weighing the extraordinary step of handing out blanket pardons to those who've committed no crimes. Of course, they've committed no crimes, both because it could suggest impropriety, only fueling Trump's criticisms, and because those offered preemptive pardons may reject them. The deliberations touch on pardoning those currently in office, elected and appointed, as well as former officials who've angered Trump and his loyalists. Those who could face exposure include members of Congress's January 6th committee, such as Adam Schiff, Liz Cheney.
Adam Schiff should absolutely be investigated.
Also mentioned by Biden's aides is Anthony Fauci. The West Wing deliberations have been organized by White House counsel Ed Siskel, but include a range of other aides, including Jeff Zients. The president himself, who is intensely focused on his son's pardon, has not been brought into the broader pardon discussions yet, according to people familiar. I bet he hasn't, because he's a vegetable that they just hold his hand to move the pen. The conversations were spurred by Trump's repeated threats and quiet lobbying by congressional Democrats, though not by those seeking the pardons themselves. The beneficiaries know nothing, one well-connected Democrat told me, about those who could receive pardons. Of course they didn't. That the conversations are taking place at all reflect growing anxieties among high-level Democrats about just how far Trump's reprisals could go once he reclaims power. The remarkable 11-year breadth of Biden's pardon of his son Hunter illustrated how worried the White House is about Trump's officials seizing on any potential openings for prosecution. You mean like seizing on any crimes Hunter committed during those 11 years? Is that what they mean by seizing on potential openings for prosecution?
Right.
Republicans are going to seize on openings for prosecution. Okay, guys. Splash in the chat says, man, I wish the Bidens could catch a break. Everybody's been so hard on them for no reason.
By the way, if Anthony Fauci, his guidance, if he's part of the team responsible for exporting gain-of-function research to find a workaround from the Obama executive order to kick it off the states, and he and those other people did that over there, then their asses should be absolutely in jail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any of these corrupt MFs during the coronavirus thing, absolutely. Anybody who said, by the way, who gave us guidance to shut down and then who said to get out there and join the riots, find something. Let's talk to them. Let's talk to them and ask them who told them to say that and keep talking to them. It's fine. And if the process crime happens around the way, oh, well, good for the effing goose. Absolutely. It's just these people got away with so much, and it's just like, what's it going to tell you? We all need immunity. Okay. So none of you did anything wrong, right?
No, we're just worried about Trump wrongfully seizing upon openings for prosecution.
By the way, Trump was mentioning pardoning Hunter Biden more than Biden was.
Yeah. Is that all that's going on today? Did you have anything else? I've been at work all day.
There is. Oh, hang on. Let me see. Go to my notes here. Well, the shooting, obviously. The shooting. Well,
Danielle Penny.
Oh yeah.
That trial, the jury's in deliberations for that still, right?
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. That would be the end. Okay, so this is something that I talked about earlier. And this is the latest one. I started off with another one earlier, but more about Republican men and women and this kind of reaction.
Broke up with their boyfriends last night. Broke up with their boyfriends last night. A lot of Republican women broke up with their MAGA husbands. And they don't want to be treated like that anymore. If you look through the posts, there is a rising up of these women who married Republican men. Here is a tip, newly single ladies. You want to get some dark eyeliner and you want to get some dark lipstick. All of those boys that said they don't like makeup were sorting for obedient women. So you need to like wear makeup, like really wear makeup, and that's how you signal to a man that you're not a Republican. The patterns in our life are hard to break out of. Make sure you attract a different kind of guy this time. A lot of Republicans broke.
So I think that's very interesting, and there's a few of these happening where this is
Try to look more slutty, then you'll attract
this is
sucky
like
beta dudes.
a total inability to deal with the fact of what happened. That's all it is. And this other chick who's attractive, so I do give her some leeway, says this.
I think we severely underestimated the amount of women around us who will never be able to stop seeking the approval and validation of the white men around them. And y'all really exposed yourself with the results of this election. These white...
First of all, can we agree that if you're a chick like this and you're not from the South and you use y'all, that you're an asshole?
Yeah, people shouldn't really use y'all.
Women who voted against our interests. These are the women that we went to high school with, that we were best friends with in college, that we played sports with our whole lives. But they chose to listen to their dads. They chose to listen to their boyfriends or their husbands. They chose to put the interests of the white men around them in their lives above the interests of women, above the interests of...
So, lower crime, fewer rapes, fewer muggings, less being sucker punched in the street. Those are in the interest of women, aren't they?
Yeah, I would say that they are.
Groceries being cheaper, being able to buy a house, those are in the interest of women.
Of course they
aren't
are.
they? So what's the thing that's putting the interest of women second? Simply being able...
Only abortion.
Only abortion.
Only abortion.
Only the one thing that requires 50,000 other permissions to be given to ever need one.
Right.
You've got to go out. You've got to engage with somebody. You've got to talk to somebody. You have to let somebody into your apartment. You have to let somebody take your clothes off. You have to let somebody have sex with you. You have to let somebody have sex with you in a way that could be pregnant. You have to, there's 1,000 things. But that one thing, that's everything.
Right.
That's everything. No, it's because... in case the life of the mother...
Forced pregnancy.
Exactly. It's like, oh, no.
It's a Handmaid's Tale.
And what is it, by the way, what is it?
Does Trump seem like a guy who's anti-sexual revolution, by the way?
No.
You got the wrong guy. I am actually against the sexual revolution.
Trump is not. Absolutely benefited in the 70s, 80s, and 90s from that version of feminism. Absolutely. They're going to sleep with me in the first night to show they're empowered just like a guy is. And then if there's anything resulting, they're going to handle it. It's like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
By the way, there's a question in the chat, and we kind of addressed this yesterday during the chat, but I think we should say it again because Splash asked, how can you pardon somebody from no crimes? But basically all you do is you say, I pardon this person for any crimes that they might have committed between X date and X date. And that's allowed if the dates are in the past. If you can't, so you can pardon somebody for something that hasn't been prosecuted or hasn't been charged, but you can't pardon somebody for something that hasn't happened yet. Or you caused the purge to happen. But but you can pardon somebody for a crime that's not known yet, basically, is what they're saying. But yeah, But and so that's why some people feel that Biden shouldn't do that, because they're like, it's going to look incriminating if Biden pardons everybody who had anything to do with the Biden administration for the entire time.
Of course.
Yeah, like Adam Schiff, at least in his public statements, like when he said it, he's like, I don't think Biden should pardon me because then it looks like I did something wrong and I didn't. So, I mean, yeah, there's obviously debate about it, but I think Biden's going to end up pardoning more people and himself too.
I totally agree that he is.
Mark in the chat asked, where are all these women who have no agency and just do what they're told? I need one of those.
I know. I know. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, Alice, well, you don't really do, well, no.
I have agency.
You have agency. That's absolutely right. It somehow, for whatever reason, it works in my favor. Somehow. But yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Anyway, it was, I mentioned a little bit about it today on the radio show, and like, where is this idea? Where are they seeing these women who are just?
They're not. They
don't
only
wear much
exist
makeup
in their heads.
They're like, how is it that some women don't see that abortion's not that important? Because they've adopted a lifestyle where you might need abortions, or
there's this meme though, because it just becomes its own thing. There's this meme though that, like, the woman of the like little cartoon of the woman who's saying, like, I know Trump can cause like World War III, but what about abortion though? Like, but that's literally how a bunch of women feel. And that's, I mean, it's nuts, obviously, but they've like just somehow gone on autopilot and prioritized that about all else. The best argument I heard for that was actually when I was door knocking for a Republican. And like, that was the question she had, was like, well, how does she feel about abortion? And I was like, against, basically. And I don't know. I was like, okay, well, she's like not for that. But the lady said, well, if they don't let you control your body, they're not going to let you control anything else either. Which, like, that's like the closest I guess you can come to it being like a purely libertarian argument.
Well,
like,
sure.
The right to your own body, because like people that I know who are like RFK Jr. sort of moderate or independent Republicans, they tend to be like moderate on abortion, and they tend to view, for example, like the vaccine thing as an extension of like bodily autonomy and choice, right?
No, yeah. And I understand where that comes from, because it is fundamentally unfair that women have to
have children
in utero who become other human beings at some point in utero, and the guys can just take a road trip.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's fundamentally unfair, and it is unfair. But really, it's not even. It's unfair in 2024. In 1850, it's biology.
Right.
That's what happens. That's why you don't let some cat
unfair.
come over and get wasted with him and let him do that. We decided it's unfair now because women have been fooled into believing that go to college, like she said, people who went to college to go to college, and college have plenty of sex, and you don't feel bad about it because you're just being empowered like the guys. Remember, it's equity. Everything the guys should feel, you should be entitled to too.
Well, yeah, all the moral sexual standards that we always had, all the sexual ethics of all of human history were largely based around acknowledgement of biological realities.
Exactly. It was that it was that version of birth control.
Right.
Right. And when that started crashing, that's also why shotgun weddings were a thing.
Of course.
It's like, okay, that's something for the guys. Just so you know, dude, you're in it if this happens. So, like, I know that we're much, much more enlightened now than we were in 1940. And I realize that people have been having sex for a long time, and et cetera. But to destroy these fundamentals, these principles, and these values that and make it just fine to walk the hell away if you knock somebody up. Well,
but that's a pretty old and, I mean, as far as I know, pretty universal standard in every culture I can think of, that it is the duty of men to care for their children, their offspring that they've sired, and the women who've borne them, because life is unfair, and so you have a requirement to look after them. And that's always been the ethical standard. That's why the Bible is all about taking care of widows and orphans.
Right.
Because widows and orphans are people that don't have that man anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's like the whole idea. That's why the Bible's like widows and orphans, widows and orphans, widows and orphans. We have a society where not only do we not like take care of the widows and orphans, but we create a bunch of them on purpose by like not requiring men to do their natural duty that they're supposed to do through all of human history. We like create with divorce and everything de facto, and like the free love stuff and letting men get away with just walking out. We create de facto widows and orphans everywhere.
Mm-hmm. What is your chat sponsor?
That's a Chelsea Fire Wicked Hot Sauce.
All right. By the way, Mike, who left an all-you-can-eat message, I'm sorry, I forgot that today. Actually, we ran out of time, but we'll get that on the next one, which will be either tomorrow or...
Probably tomorrow. I took a half day at work tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, there we go, tomorrow.
Hey, Alice, how you doing?
Hey,
just
Steve.
to clarify, I still stand by, what I said a few days ago, that I think that these presidential pardons, for the most part, is not something that people should be losing sleep over. And I really think that people are going a little overboard with the Hunter Biden stuff. We all knew it was going to happen, and it's really not a big deal. And, I also don't think that if, President Trump were to let the January 6th people out and pardon them, again, it's not something, anybody should be losing sleep over. But where I draw the line, I think, and I changed my tune on it after listening to you guys, Jerry, Kirk, and the people on Fox, is where you draw the line on the pardons. I mean, you mentioned it the other day, but, is it okay to let Tsarnaev out, or the Mendez brothers, or school shooters, or 9/11 people, for example? No. So I do think that there should be some limits as far as who should be pardoned and who shouldn't based upon the crime. But, if they can't figure that out, then they should just do away with the whole presidential pardon process. So I, definitely changed my mind a little bit on it, and I hope that you would respect the fact that, intelligent people like yourself, Jerry, Kirk, and the Fox people could sway somebody to have a different thought on something. And by the way, Tom, I am in a grocery store while I'm leaving this message. Bye.
Good.
He wants to know which one specifically.
I
do respect that, Steve. I'm glad you clarified that you changed your mind. I like that.
Yeah, and I like the music in that store as well.
From now on, everybody has to announce where they are and what they're doing.
Oh, I like that.
When they
I would
record
like to
the
know.
message.
I'd like to know.
Hey, Alice, congratulations on the new job.
Thank you.
Maybe you guys can get a new car.
Ooh, you hear the song? You know the song? You don't know the song? Oh, Alice.
What is it?
Price is Right.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. She was born in 87. She missed a lot. Oh, what do you have?
Nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My head is empty.
That was huge.
Hi, Tom and Alice.
Hey.
This is John.
Hey, John.
I may have the answer to the EBT card question.
Okay.
I believe if your school district gave free lunch to all kids during the school year,
Yep.
that EBT card represents $120 per child
Yep.
for the summer months.
Nice.
And if the EBT card was white, I think that's what you got.
That is.
Hope that helps.
No, thank you. And will I get another one? Is the question, and I certainly hope so. Will I get another one, Alice?
Apparently. I don't know how you got this one. So, I mean.
Oh, I had to do some legwork, though, to get that baby. It's great, too. It's such a terrible... Because we got the card, but I activated it even before I could find it in the house in, like, September. When the kids were back at school.
Right.
But it's such a grift.
It was to make up for how much money we lost having to feed our own children over the summer. I
vote
guess.
buying.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Alice, congrats on the new job.
Thank
I'm very
you.
happy for you. I'm very happy for the whole Shattuck family.
Thank you.
It sounds like you'll be getting a nice salary, and more importantly, you'll be getting some RSUs, which are, like, in my experience, found money.
They're not restricted stock units. It's options.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's not as good. But
Steve using fancy acronyms.
But it's still good. It's still like bonus. It could be like found money. So it's stock options.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so basically I'm meeting with the finance person next week to like talk more about the exact details. But basically, it's an opportunity to purchase the stock later at the price it's worth right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what that price is right now at this moment, but you can buy it and then like sell it in the same transaction if you want to. So say the stock is worth $100 right now, like one share is worth $100. I'm just like making this up, right? And say you have 1,000 shares, then it would cost $10,000 to buy them, but you don't have to buy them until you're ready to. So then say the company has an IPO and now each share is worth $250. All of a sudden I can sell them for $10,000 and get $25,000 and I make $15,000 off the stock transaction. So that's like what that means. But that's just example numbers.
They offered me stock at Odyssey a few years ago.
Yeah.
Should have taken it up. Should have bought. Didn't take the plunge.
Nice salary, and more importantly, you'll be getting some RSUs, which are, like, in my experience, found money. Those are things that they just sort of give to you, and if you're...
Steve's got a good voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit like Dan. Who's the guy who was in Jaws? Whose son is on Twitter? Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss. He's got a little bit like Richard Dreyfuss' voice.
With a good growth company, that turns into a nice little pile of money down the road, and not too far down the road either.
Ooh.
Within like a year, your first set of shares.
I like found money. I like it not too far down the road, too.
Yeah, so it depends. I mean, like, it just depends.
Mature and everything. So it's awesome. And as far as I know, they'll give you additional shares every time you have a review or whatever. So very happy for you guys. That is a great thing. And thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I mean, like, I'd be happy about the salary, honestly, without that. So to me, that's just like a bonus. And I has to vest for 4 years anyway. So we'll worry about that like down the road sometime. So I'm not like...
When am I going to be rich, Alice? That's my question. That's what we want to know. I know every summer I'll be rich because of my EBT.
I expect you to be that rich again this Friday. But not from my new job yet. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Appreciate you. If you want to be in the live chat with us every day.
Oh, by the way, they're offering to home office stuff. So let us know what we should ask for.
Home office stuff?
Aren't they?
What's that mean?
Home office stuff?
Oh. Yeah. I have to talk to the onboarding specialist about like what type of computer and monitor and setup and everything I need them to send me.
And
for
your
my
little
new
co-pilot needs some stuff too.
No, you do not.
Yes, I do.
It's part of the contract that I signed that I won't use anything they send me for anything other than their company. So
T-Dog?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it. If you want to leave me advice about what to ask for from the onboarding specialist, you can do that at the chat, which is at burnbarrelpodcast.com. If you want to sign up for extra content and live streams and stuff, patreon.com/burnbarrel. Of course, the show is always free wherever you like to listen to podcasts.
C'est la vie.